Evening, guys. My name is Brad Dick. Welcome to the Brad Dick video show. It's about the 7th year I've done something like this, except in the past it's been, all radio. I apologize for my attire. I'm kind of getting out of wrestling practice tonight. This is a wrestling jacket, actually. I got it from the Reno Tournament of Champions in Reno, Nevada. I've coached a couple teams there. I've actually competed there myself as a wrestler during my college and my high school days. So it's this is where I'm come from. This is what I've been doing for the past couple months when I've been away, other than when I'm not working at the CGS or something like that. Tonight is our. I'm going to talk a little bit about the CGS, how I felt about it. And the demise of it, what's going on with it. Could there be another CGS? Maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about it here in this segment of the show. I'm not really sure how long the show is going to last, guys. I don't have a time frame. I don't have a time limit tonight. It's just kind of, if I have a lot of questions, I'll stay around and answer questions if need be. I understand my chair is outstanding, and you guys are big fans of my chair. Good quality leather, good black quality leather. You can find that over at Staples, I think is where I bought it. So if you can do that, go do it. It's a good deal. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and start out with saying that I've been real busy. As you can see, Xemius itself, Xemius Sports, my organization that I am the owner of and the general manager of, has been very inactive. The brand itself has been somewhat declining, and it's not because of I'm picking up, not because I'm not getting bad teams or good teams or whatnot. It's me. It's me, as in, I'm trying. I was working to get to a point in the Championship Gaming Series, and that did not happen, which I'll talk a little bit about a little bit later. But it's been declining somewhat, and I've been inactive. And the reason why is because I've been inactive, and I've been working with Chicago Chimera, in a former franchise of the Championship Gaming Series. If you don't know a lot about the Championship Gaming Series and you're kind of new to this whole gaming thing, you can always go to gotfrag.com, or you can go to thecgs.com, and the CGS will show you exactly what's going on with the league itself, and it'll explain a little bit. I'm hoping for them to reveal more information to its staff members and its players in the future. But right now we're kind of they're not really telling us a lot. So now my first thing I'm going to do is, a lot of people have been wondering why am I kind of been inactive. I told you it's because of wrestling, and here's an example. Because of my inactivity of wrestling, I've been pretty successful. My junior high and high school teams in Oklahoma City here are really competing well. For instance, I'm going to show you an example. If you put hard work to something, you can go to tournaments and go win. I'm really happy that my junior high team come in and won this thing at an invitational here in Oklahoma City. And I think we have a good chance of winning the conference this year, and maybe even state. So we're going to see what happens. But that's where I've been, and that's what I've been doing the past couple months. I've been doing it in the morning. I'll be doing it all through Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving break is more like a wrestling break, more so to speak. It's not really much of a break. So go ahead and let's talk next about. I know I'm rambling a little bit. That's because I know what's coming ahead. It's a big question mark for me. Number one, I've got that out of the way, the introduction. Number two, a little update, and got it done. What Brian, the Chimera general manager, has been doing. Brian Flander is the general manager of Chimera. Most of you probably already know that. He is a very hard-working GM, and he was very exceptional for the CGS, in my opinion. He's a great guy to work with. He's a cool guy. It's very hard to find someone that works well with you. I know that personally, just because I am a head coach, and it's hard to find good help. I'm lucky because I have a very good assistant coach who works his butt off for me. And, you know, I tried to do the same thing for Brian. Brian had, you know, a good help. He had good guys behind him. He had Portland. He had Clown. He had Keems. He had me. And we all worked our butt off for Brian. You know, I didn't ask for anything in return. Not a dime. I loved esports. I love working for esports. I love to do whatever I can for esports. And Brian was the same. You know, of course, Brian was, you know, helped out by the CGS in ways, but you know, he has a passion for it. He has a passion to play, and I admire about him. He right now is going to focus on his Quake Live. He's going to be competing in Quake Live here in the near future, and he also will be working at his old job. He recently got his old job. He's an IT guy, so that's kind of an update with Chimera and what's happening with Chimera. As for the players, Schaefer, DeBears, Stevenson, Larry, and you know, some of those guys, Han, I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I know that DeBears is headed back to 1.6. Stevenson is in question. I'm not sure if he's wanting to quit the game completely or if he's wanting to compete. Larry, I haven't heard a lot about. In my opinion, I think he might be retiring as well. But you know, Han comes from a very strong 1.6 background, so I could see him going back to the game and competing with some of his old teammates. Schaefer, he loves Source. He does. But I think he knows what's coming ahead, and I think that he will be competing in 1.6 a little bit, and Source. Lloyd is a great guy. I kind of feel bad for Lloyd to a degree, and I'll explain why a little later because I'm in the same position he is. As for you know, Chimera, it's not anything anymore. It's owned and run by the CGS. Similar situation with Team 3D and Complexity. I don't know how that works out. I don't know how Jason Lake and, you know, Craig Levine are going to be able to get that back. If they'll be able to get that back, I do hope they will, because those brand names are exceptional for esports, and I think we need them to compete, you know, and make esports grow. It's a good rivalry that needs to be renewed. That rivalry has been diminished through the CGS. If they can bring it back, and I think Craig and Jason both can. Craig is a very hard worker. I admire him a lot, and Jason's a hard worker. They're both really good guys. I had the privilege of working with them and the privilege of meeting them at the CGS. I think that if we can get those brands back from the CGS, then it's, you know, it's going to be an amazing 2009 year for esports. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up a little bit. I think I want to go ahead and answer any questions that maybe people might have. You can PM me in #EX Sports. I'll put it up here in the chat channel real fast, and you can PM me on my Brad Dick name. Don't PM me on my you know, Exemius name, because I really don't feel like looking at two different things. Please. So I will answer any questions that I have throughout the duration of the show, as I'm going through and talking. So I'll go ahead and go to question number 1. Let me see here. Let's see here. Shedder, I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Thank you, Mikey. Okay. Fawns 1D, LMC Fawns 1D asked me, do you know anything about 3D's 1.6 roster if they come back, and JMC? I honestly, you know, it's a good question, because I'm not Craig Levine. I don't know what Craig will do. I don't know if Dave is going to be back in control again from the CGS, but I think Craig will be back and working with Team 3D hand in hand. It was always been Craig's baby, and it would be hard for Craig to walk away, even though he doesn't have to. I think for Team 3D and Jack's Money Crew to compete again, they have to focus on 1.6 players who have a strong history in the game. I'm not saying that the good Source players on their teams can't compete with it, but they are significantly better at Source than they are at 1.6. That's from my understanding. can they compete? Sure. Good God, yes. And can they get to that point where they are in Source? Yeah, I think they can. I'm going to give you an example. Eric Brarski from Team Jack's Money Crew, formerly Dallas Venom, an exceptionally hard worker, an exceptionally great guy, an exceptional Source player. I don't know how good he is 1.6 now, but I know that I guarantee if he wants a spot on Jack's Money Crew, he's training as hard as he can to keep that spot. And he's got one of the best ops I've ever seen. I just hope he can apply that to 1.6 again, and I think he can. I do know that Jack's Money Crew is looking for another player because Dominator is retired completely. He's not coming up with his game anymore. He's done. He's done with esports completely. He was questioning whether he wanted to come back again, as of many CGS players were this season, and he is gone, from my understanding. Team 3D is gonna, in my opinion, will make some changes as well. Complexity might even make a change, one change, in my opinion. But like I said, I'm not Alex Conroy, I'm not Jason Lake, and I'm not Craig Levine or Dave Gaffon. Okay. So we'll see what happens with those guys, and I think it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be something to stay tuned to. It's a good question. Killing Girl asked me, do you think Source died with CGS? Yes, I do. I think that was a thundering halt to Source. I think that was the Source's last string was CGS. It was like hanging like a puppet holding onto a string. Here's kind of making it work, and that's the only thing that Source is keeping it alive. Now I see forums all the time, got frag forums. They say Source isn't dead. All these other teams are still competing. Dynamic, Devastation, but that's bullcrap. I mean, those teams aren't professional. Not what they need to be, like Complexity, Team 3D, Jack's Money Crew, and all those other teams. It's not the same. I'm not saying they're bad teams, but I'm saying where esports needs to be headed, those teams have to compete. And Dynamic is not going to be Source. Devastation is not going to be Source. They're not going to be the face of Source where people are just going to be like, oh God, Devastation, Source, or Dynamic, oh gosh. It's just not the same. And with that, you'll see some main teams get moved up to CEVO Pro next season. And when that happens, it's just going to be bad. I mean, I want you to think of this Killing Girl. How boring was CEVO last season to watch with only 2 CGS teams? That's what I'm talking about. Just think about that with no CGS teams. And then about teams like Zomblers, teams like, 5 or 6 teams jumping over to 1.6. It's going to be bad. It's not even, in my opinion, CEVO won't even use Source next season. Okay, good question. If CGS comes back, do you think CSS rules will be the same? Yes, I do. The CGS rules will be the same, in my opinion, because of TV time. What would be the next best league to compete in now that the CGS is over? I'm going to get to that later. It's a good question, Mr. Birchie. That's a good question. I'll get back to that later. Fawns, I got your question, man. I'm not gonna comment on that because I don't know. Do you think a lot of teams will be shifting to 1.6? Yes, I do. I think the majority of CGS players will shift over to 1.6. Those who will stay and play Source will soon retire because they will realize exactly what there's nothing there. There's nothing there to actually compete. There's no desire. Good question. Do you think the sponsors will support 1.6? When you say Fady, whenever you say sponsors, you have to be a little more detailed, and I can answer your question. If you're talking about Intel, AMD, all that, they're going to sponsor whatever's hot. That's just fact. Now, that's just fact. I mean, it doesn't matter what game it is. It could be Super Mario Brothers, and if it's hot and it's competitive, then they'll, places will sponsor. They will. What gaming franchises do you see picking up Source in the near future? What gaming franchises? None. I think I'm going to talk about that. Even Exemia Sports is not picking up Source in the future. Okay. Which players from 3D or Cole are 100% coming back if they are? Complexity, you're going to see Warden come back. You'll see um, Fraud come back. You'll see Storm come back, and that's all I'm going to comment on because I don't know about the others. Do you think that another league like CGS can ever start up again? What do you think is required for this to happen? How will it stay alive and not die like the CGS? I'm going to answer that more in the future too. That's a good question though also. Do you think that it'll be a good idea to go to 1.6 competitively? This is why Source players will end up being good at 1.6 and Source. So if money goes back to Source, then you're all set. Dr. Doolittle, I think that that's a pretty good idea, but in my opinion, Source is completely done unless another league pops up, and I really don't think that's happening for a while. Hey, what change do you think that we made on Cole? I just answered that. I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not Jason Lake, and I'm not going to reveal anything that I already might know to the community because I'll let Jason do that. Do you think the CGS would have failed if their major sport in 5 vs 5 competition was 1.6? It wouldn't have mattered what it would have been. It could have been 1.6. It could have been Source. CGS, in my opinion, did not. They had all the tools to get something moving. It was a wrong time for CGS in history, in my opinion. I'm a history teacher. CGS had a deal and a contract with DirecTV for 5 years. It was, the idea was to have 3 more seasons, and that's why everybody's such in a shock. We thought, oh, contract, 5 years at least, that's a good deal. I think that's why Jason, Craig, Jax, all these guys have switched over because they had the opinion at least 5 years. I can do this for 5 years and maybe move on to something else. That was my finding. That was my idea. I can do this for 5 years, come back to teaching. So whenever that happened, it wouldn't have mattered what game it would have been. 1.6, Source, I think he would have had the same turnout for both. Source, it would have been fine. It would have been fine. 1.6, it was fine. I mean, because you saw all the same teams come over from Source to Source to compete in the CGS. I think the demise of CGS was not because of fan base. I think it had to do a lot with economy right now. I think the number of viewers wasn't quite what it needed to be yet, but you have to remember the league is young. Any league that is going to be new, it takes time to build. It takes time to earn the respect and to build it. And CGS was doing that, in my opinion. Now, all this is going to be my opinion. You don't have to go quote me, say Brad Dick said this and this and this. I think that CGS was going to be a good thing in the future. But with the economy the way it is right now, every sponsor that was giving money to the CGS had to look at it and say, hey, look, here's the money we're giving. We have to reevaluate where we're giving our money to. Pepsi. Pepsi's Mountain Dew. Same corporation. Okay? Dell. All that. They have to reevaluate. And I think it's going to hurt. The economy is going to hurt esports a little bit, sponsor-wise. I think that's why Jason Lake even said, well, if we can find a monetary sponsor. He knows exactly. I mean, there's sponsors right now. There's people not willing to give out as much money as they used to, just because of the way the economy is, until it picks back up. That's a good question. How is 1.6 going to come back to the way it used to be without any sponsors? Do you think it'll be even a strong Source? I don't think Counter-Strike's ever going to be the same. It's going to be a 2009. It'll be good for 1.6 in my opinion, but I don't think it's going to be as wow as it once was. It's got a lot of. It's hard to compete with the way Source used to be about 5 or 6 years ago, and 1.6 the way it was 5 or 6 years ago when you had 2002 CPL, 2005 CPL. I mean, come on, that was some cool times. Those were times where I could just look at it and be like, God, this is cool to be here. This is a neat experience. When I got to the WSVG and I was competing at Call of Duty 2 with my team in Dallas, I got there and I was just like, gosh, this isn't as grand as it was 2 years ago, and it's just like, God, this is kind of a sad cast for me, guys, because I'm just seeing this, and it's a cutoff of the knees in esports on that day when CGS died. So I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be anybody to put anybody in a bad mood. Portland asked me, will 1.6 be as popular as it once was before 1.16 went to Source to play CGS? I don't know. We'll find that out in the next 2 weeks, Portland. Word is a lot of new players coming back from when they retired, but the question is, if a player retires and they're gone for this long, why would they have any dedication to come back for a long period of time? That's just my saying. That's my thing. Ocean, I'm going to talk about Xemius a little later, man. Thank you very much for that question, though. Do you think that COD community should shift to COD2 or stick with COD4 or move on to COD5 if they move on to COD5? What kind of gameplay should be played? I think the COD series is a cluster. COD series has no love for competitive play whatsoever. Activision needs to stretch out its games a little more. They got rid of COD. They put out COD5 before COD4 could even have an opportunity to be on the map. I think COD4 was going to be used by MLG eventually. But COD5 pops out, hey, we're going to announce COD5 here in the next 6 months after 2 years after it, or a year and a half after it was released. And it's COD until it changes is never going to be on the competitive scene. Not grand. Not like Counter-Strike. And that's just my opinion. It's got to change from Activision completely. They are so public server friendly. Sphinx asked me, do you think a lot of more professional teams will have a change of players? Team 3D or Cold, Jack's Money Crew come to 1.6. Yes, I do. I think a lot of them will change, but I'm not going to comment on any of that. I'll let them decide that. What are the factors that you feel contributed most to CGS's downfall? I said that. Economy, mainly. In my opinion, the economy. What do you know about JMC's roster? I'll let Alex Conway answer that question. Do you know any of the development of the new Counter-Strike? How do you think it's... Guys, there's no new Counter-Strike yet. Okay? Half-Life 3 haven't even been started working on it. They've come up with some ideas, but nothing really set in stone yet. There's plans of Half-Life 3, but they don't know what next Counter-Strike is going to be. Will there be? I'm sure there will be. God, they'd be stupid not to. Valve would be stupid not to have a Counter-Strike 3. But that is going to be, in my opinion, 2 years from now, at least. If they wanted Half-Life 3 to come out, they would have already put media about it, in my opinion. They said, oh, HL3 coming out in November of 2012, or something like that, 2011. Okay? Kind of like, the movies. Kind of like how Spider-Man is. Oh, we're going to put it out, comingsoon.com. And I think that Half-Life 3 is still yet in development, so they won't pull out a Counter-Strike 3 until they have a Half-Life 3. Do you think a lot of the reason that CGS died was because of how much they bummed down for the games and other viewers? It didn't try to focus on their main goal, which should have been gamers. No, the gamers will do whatever the CGS says. That's just fact. They have to make it TV friendly, and it's not about what the gamers will say or do. It's about what I think the gamers will do whatever CGS says in money talks. That's just my opinion. Craig Levine may not see it that way, and some of the other GMs may not see it that way, but I do. Do you have a team in mind that you'd like to pick up for 1.6? I'll talk about that later. Another question. Do you think there will be a new Counter-Strike? I've already answered that. The community of gamers is expected to grow to 250 million worldwide. A statement made by Fnatic on their live show. That says the community of gamers. That doesn't say a community of Counter-Strike gamers. I'm being specific there, Mr. Pulse. Which players from 3D Cold 100% coming back? I'm not going to comment on that. Brad Dick, will there be a chance for Cal teams to try out for the CGS? Their CGS is dead. Do you think that the demise of the CGS is going to cause a bigger split in esports and almost run the all-around community? I don't think it's going to run it. I do think that it is a kick in the growing, so to speak, to a lot of gamers that were professional. Even managers. we have lost a lot of motivation. I'm not gonna lie. Myself, I've lost a lot of motivation. Jason Lake he'd be lying to say he didn't lose a lot of motivation. Now, does he want to go back and make an organization? Yes, he does. He's been wanting to do it for 2 years. But, guys like Alex, I'm sure he loved it. Mark Dolvin, God, I don't know if he wants to make a new Pandemic. It's a lot of work to make an organization. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of passion. Now, do those guys have that stuff? Yeah, sure they do. I've met them personally, shook their hand, talked to them, and, the drive of some of those guys is unbelievable. And can they get it done? Sure. I have absolute respect for those guys. Every GM I have absolute respect for because of the way and the hard work they've put in for esports. No one in my life have I ever met has had so much dedication to something. And, I admire that about all 5 of them, all 6 of them. Do you know anything about the CGS European teams? Will we see WNV with Jungle, etc. come back? I don't know much about the European scene, to be honest. What about the new CPL or AGP Tour? I'll talk about the new CPL later down the road, Alex. How is 1.6 going to come back in the way it used to be? Oh, have you taken a look at Left 4 Dead yet? Left 4 Dead looks promising. However, it could be a game you could see at CPL. It might. You don't know. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Left 4 Dead yet. I've been looking into it. A lot of gamers like it. It's not my forte, the whole zombie thing, but it's a lot of people like it. Who do you think is better for esports growth, Jason Lake, Craig Levine? I'm not going to comment on that. They're both. You can't have one without the other right now. If you didn't have Craig Levine and Jason Lake button heads, or in 3 years ago, 4 years ago, before the CGS was established, then we wouldn't be in esports where they are today. I have a lot of respect for both of those guys, and you can't have esports without them. Why do you think CZ failed? Condition 0? Because it's condition 0. I'm going to talk about Counter or Xenia Sports later, guys. Brad, what do you think of Pro Mod? I think Pro Mod for 1.6 is Source is a waste of time, in my opinion. Would it be a perfect time for it to release? Yes. I mean, to get it completely fixed, yes. But God bless him, he worked so hard. Alex Garfield released it too early. He shouldn't have released it. He should have released it when everything was done and all the bugs were out of it. When he released it, all these people downloaded it, installed it, and it freaking had so much bugs in it that people lost interest in it. He should have released it when it was all done. But, I'm not Alex. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's a good guy. But, that's just me. In World War II, who the crime factor was. Of course I know the World War II, the problem was, the Treaty of Versailles from World War I. Okay, I'm a history teacher. Come on. Why do you think everyone is going back to 1.6? Because CGS is dead and there's no admiration to stay in Source. Okay. Would it be beneficial for a COD CVOP player to switch to 1.6 right now with CS shifting to 1.6 and COD series as the cluster? Yes, I do. Get out of COD while you still can. Okay. Do you have any info on optics? What are those players going to do? And branch off toward this, what is Pandemic situation? I think Pandemic's going to get a 1.6 team here in the near future, guys. That's just me. Chris Lemley would be stupid not to get a 1.6 team at this time. Chris is a smart guy. He's a very smart guy. I think that he's going to get a 1.6 team because he knows what's coming up in the future. He does. He ain't stupid. It's World of Warcraft and 1.6. World of Warcraft 1.6 is the 2 big games that are going to be up to 2009. So start practicing. What's your take on the former CGS teams coming back to 1.6? They all will come back to 1.6 in my opinion. Portland, what do you think about the new CPL owners? I know all the old CPL owners. The ones in the Middle East are the people who are funding it. Guys, there's not much of a change in CPL. They're trying to get you to think that. I'm going to talk about that later. Okay. Who is your opinion? Who in your opinion can get to be accomplished in competitive 1.6? Now, anybody. If you work hard enough, you can always get things done. What do you think about the American international scene and how Fraud spoke about Cole being back and tearing up international scenes? Fraud's not lying. They can do it. I think they got to change one person in their lineup for it to happen, and I think everybody else knows that too. I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but he's not what it used to be, in my opinion. Do you think it's beneficial to go from 1.6 to WoW due to the ease of addiction? I don't know, man. That's your opinion. What do you think about the American 1.6 scene as of now? I think right now 1.6 community is very, very immature. I think it's the best thing that ever happened to 1.6 that you're getting professional players coming over to your team, to your community. You know, here's my challenge to the 1.6 community. If you're watching, you know, I'd start being a little more mature. I mean, you got great teams coming over to play now. You almost have what you used to. Now, I mean, you started the decline of the 1.6 respect, and the players, you know, left whenever the teams left for the CGS. Now start rising up again. I'm gonna give an example. York came to me tonight and he said, "Brad, I totally agree with you and see why you think the community was very immature." But here's your chance, 1.6 community, to, you know, get on the professional spotlight. You will. If you do that, then you'll have a lot of success in 2009 in your game, and I admire that. Okay, I'm gonna get flamed up for that, probably. How many complexity people did it take? What? I don't know what that question is. I'm just gonna skip it. What about Pandemic's old source roster being split up in the CGS? Will they come back to 1.6 if they can? Possible. I don't know. You know, you got to remember Carolina Core is the old Pandemic, so we'll see. Its source team? I don't think so. I know that Griff is going back to 1.6. Okay. I'm going to get to and start talking about other things here in a second, so come on with your questions if you have any. Good God, I have a lot of questions down here. Don't PM me on my... I'm not answering questions on my Exemius Brad nickname, by the way. History of Pizza Self. Time's proven that over and over again, why should gamers keep investing effort and time into the game when the next big blow is just a few steps away? I'm basing this on recent things with CPL, GGL, and CGS. D-Line, you know you're exactly right. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you at all. And you could be right. I don't have anything to say. That was probably the best statement I've heard all night, to be honest. Do you think esports in general is at halt with the death of CGS, not just the Counter-Strike scene? I wouldn't say that. You know, you have MLG, you have CPL coming up this summer. I wouldn't say that it's actually dead. You know, that's not an accurate statement. It's a hurt to esports when CGS dies because it was the pinnacle of esports in my opinion. But no, I don't think it's dead. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Would you ever consider leaving the esports world as a GM and becoming a male model because I'm very attractive? I appreciate that. That was humorous. Thank you. I needed that. How much does it cost to run a professional team? Including sponsorship money. God. It depends how successful you want to make it. I mean, if you want to make it complexity-wise, it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, if you're talking about Exemius way, it still takes thousands and thousands of dollars. I was blessed to have a couple of sponsors that gave us money. You know, same thing with Jason. He had sponsors that helped him out. But starting it, God, a lot of money out of your own pocket, my friend. A lot of money out of your own pocket. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Do I think Major League Gaming will ever pick up 1.6? You know, if MLG wanted to, they could now. You know, I think Major League Gaming, now that CGS is done and they don't have any competition with Source and 1.6 together, and the Source players are coming back together to 1.6, I think MLG would be perfect for them to pick up 1.6. And if they do it, it will be huge. it will be huge if they pick it up. But for some reason, they're more involved. They are so much more into console than they are PC. Do you know anything about Griffin Shagwire Binger? He's involved in CS right now. I don't know anything about what he's doing. I know that he is actually doing esports casting for 1.6 in Source. That's about all I know what he's going to do. Will any of the current CGS teams play both Source and 1.6? No, I don't think so. What about the console versus PC battle? Is it time to give up on PC esports and move to console? Major League Gaming seems to, especially with their ESPN agreement. Console is where it's at. That is the major grand scale right now. In my opinion, esports eventually will go completely console. That's just my opinion. It's with like things like PlayStation 3 coming out, where you can do so many things on your console. Like, you know, opening up the internet with some of these things. PlayStation 3, whenever they come out with the new Xbox can be huge. You know, you have the Nintendo Wii where you can get on and open up the internet and have the browser. I think esports is going to go completely console here in the next 5-6 years. That's just me. PC, God bless it. I hope it doesn't. I love computer games because I can't do those console worth of crap. But I think that's where esports is headed here in the next 5-6 years, 7 years. Do you think if the community in North America had a bunch of Sam Matthews 1.6 with increase in popularity and brains, I don't even know what that means. What do I think about the U.S. 1.6 international scene right now? Do you think that the U.S. will make a comeback? They have to. I mean, they have a lot better players now that compete. You know, we've got our butt kicked in the World Cyber Games here in the past couple of years. And the ESWC, we've got butt kicked. We've got our butts kicked completely. We got our butts kicked so bad that it's just embarrassing. So I'm hoping now with the new 1.6 players coming over that we're going to have some good teams and some maybe new players coming together and forming, so that way it'll make us better on the competitive scene. Now the international. And yes, Alex Conroy is saying, and you know what, JMC is going to be taking care of the U.S. scene, bringing the glory back. Alex is goofy, but I'm glad that he's tuning in and watching. I've been talking to fill in Alex. I've been talking a little bit about his recent roster and what he's going to do possibly. In my opinion, you know, he's watching right now. He knows exactly what I like, and I know his players really well. Sunman is going to go back to 1.6, I'm sure. You know, his whole team, in my opinion, will go back to 1.6. Brar is going to have to put in some extra time to get better at 1.6. Something with Mustang. I don't know who they're going to do, take and replace with Dominator. If Dominator, in my opinion, is not coming back, he probably quit, retired. I'm sure that Alex can maybe inform me of that if that's a definite, but that's the idea that I have got from him whenever I was at the CGS this summer. That he wanted CGS and he wanted the championship so bad he could taste it, and he was disappointed. So he was looking forward to this season. I do know that. Okay, so back to some questions real fast. Do I know any CPL? If Source will play CPL, Source will never pick up CPL ever again. If they are, they're stupid. Let's see here. What is my thought on CS2 that was announced back when we were in 1.3? I don't know. I don't know on that. I'm sorry for the last stupid question. Do you think that players worry too much about making money and not enough about the fact that it's a game? I mean, going back to 1.6, because you think they'll make money. Basically, he's asking me, should players focus more on the game instead of the money? Most of the players that play competitively are college kids. So they're doing this to make a little money extra maybe for college. So some aren't. Some love esports. Some love the game. Some love just playing. So you don't know what's going to happen. You know, I don't know. I think players need to be more passionate about their game. If they're passionate, then the money will come. Do you think the CGS went too fast for the market? Do you think in the near future another thing like CGS will be established? I'll talk about all that later. Do I think TF2 will take the place of CSS? No, I do not. I don't think it's going. TF2 is going to be that big. Okay. couple more questions I'll answer, guys. I'm going to answer a couple more questions, and then I'm going to move on. Will 1.6 be in the CGS now? This horse is kind of dead. Well, CGS is dead. I've been saying that. What do you think about Jordan Nothing Gilbert, one of the best 1.6 players, and Gravitas Gaming and EG representing America? I think all of them are great players. I really do. I think EG is a great team, X3O is a great team, and Gravitas Gaming is a very good team. They are the professional teams. In my opinion, the rest of them that are in CVOP are nothing. They're not. And in my opinion, I'd move them down to CVO Main after this season and get the professional teams in that actually don't get on there and forums and IRC and use the N-word and consistently curse and you know, make a huge immaturity thing. And I don't want that crap. And I know that a lot of former GMs don't want it either. I mean, esports is esports. You know, it's internet. Everybody's going to be immature. But, you know, if you can have people on the professional level that are actually, you know, working hard and not making a whole big old fuss, then it might bring sponsors back to the game, you know. In general, do you think Source have a chance to survive? Is Source a dead game, in my opinion? Yes, Source is a dead game, in my opinion. And, you know, if any of you know me personally, I am a Source guy. I have always fought for Source. I've always said 1.6 would never come back. I was wrong. I was wrong. I never thought it would happen, but because I didn't think CGS was dying. But it's coming back. CGS is dead, and the Source is no more. It's not worth playing. Go play a different game. Okay. A couple more questions. Do you believe Call of Duty 4 will ever come back to being one of America's games? Call of Duty series is absolutely never going to be a success until they start making a wider spread. If Source will never rebound for this. Do you think the Source players are happy that CGS died? A lot of them are not happy that Source died. Because the current Source players, whether they say it or not, this is what beefs me about Source players who are not in CVOP or Cal Invite. They'll say, CGS is horrible, da-da-da-da-da, they ruined the game, da-da-da-da-da. But I promise you, if you slapped out a contract in front of those players' hands and say, hey, here it is. We're going to pay you $20,000 a year for you to play a video game while you're going to college during the summer. I promise you they'll do it in a heartbeat. And then they'll be like, oh, well, that's cool, man, da-da-da-da. I had a discussion with this with one of my staff members a couple of days ago. They was bad-mouthing CGS, and I said, dude, you're full of crap. And he goes, all right, Brad, you're probably right. If they did that and they put it right in front of my face, I'd probably sign it. And it's just a bunch of bull crap. People are full of hot wind. All right. What game in esports do you think is the biggest joke? I don't know. That's a lie. I hate World of Warcraft. I ain't gonna lie. I hate World of Warcraft. If you're a new player to 1.6, can you learn and be competitive with the players who have been playing the system so far? It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough for you to actually compete against the other teams. What do you think about Quake? Do you think people will play Quake 3, Quake Live, or people will stay Quake 4? I don't know a lot about what's going on with Quake. You'd have to ask Brian Flander. Do I think about Call 1.6 and they pick up Zet? They're not going to pick up Zet. Zet's an SK. What is the optic situation? What will War Machine, Clown, and Mo do? Will we see a Verge or Check 6 Source team coming back again? I talked to Mo tonight. I told Mo, I said, you guys are keeping the optics tag right now. I don't know why, but they're keeping it. I said, it would be a major media attention if you drop that name immediately and all you guys come together and put on the Powers Gaming tag. They said, well, we need Jason Powers. I said, no, you don't need Jason Powers. Just put it on. What are people going to do? Because Jason's going to sue you or something? Bull crud. Okay, so go ahead and you know, that's my opinion. Do I think G7 will expand now that a lot of teams are coming back? You know, I don't know. I'm not G7. I think that before G7 expands any teams, they're going to have to stink and get some of these organizations are going to have to get reestablished. Team 3D Complexity, we got to get reestablished. Okay. Alright, it looks like I have 1 or 2 questions left. Glad to see I'm doing my hair again. Thank you. How do you think I should drop out of school like Asian did? I'm failing all my classes in college. I think I can be at 1 pro and 1.6. Go to college, dude. You're not going to be doing this forever. Trust me. I kept encouraging every single Source player that I ever had. And if I was going to be a general manager in the CGS, I was going to encourage all my players to go to college because they're not going to be gaming for the rest of their life. So go to college. Get your education, man. Okay. Now I have some quotes. I'm going to go ahead and say I have some quotes from some specific players about the CGS dying. I want to go ahead and give those to you real fast. First off, I'm going to start with Mr. Funshine, Greg Loretta, okay? Now, he says this. Mr. Loretta, Funshine from Devastation, formerly Devastation, now with 94 Nicks, says this. With the closure of the CGS, it was a blow to all of those involved. All of those who were close to being a part of the CGS, and most of all to esports. However, I feel that this will only hurt the community as much as the players. And that there can be a bounce back in the 2009 in the U.S. I feel that as long as the players and media make it happen, there can and will be a resurgence next year. That's a good thing from Mr. Funshine. You know, I totally agree with him. Now, something else. Let's see here. From Alex Conroy. Alex Conroy says, Alex Conroy says that, you know, he says, I'm excited about 2009. That's what he says. So Alex says that. Now, let's see what else. I forgot I have these other quotations somewhere around here. Let me find them real fast. I apologize. I'm trying to kind of, I'm winging this tonight, guys. I know I had it. Dang it. I don't have it anymore. Alright, let me check my list of things I gotta do real fast. Now, Chris Lemley just PM'd me and asked me, say, Brad, just tell everybody you're gonna get a 1.6 team. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead, since he said that. I'm going to go ahead and talk about that real fast. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do, guys. Here's something that I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know. I was moving up in the CGS this year. I was going to get recommended for another job in the CGS, and when that happened, I mean, I kind of let Exemius go down the hill. I kind of had a hunch that it might happen, and I was working as hard as I could for Chimera, and, you know, when that happened, I was like, well, gosh, you know, what do I do? Now, and the CGS died 2 days ago, 5 days ago. I was already about to turn in my papers as a teacher and say, hey, look, I'm going to this job over here with the Championship Gaming Series, and, you know, would I have gotten the job? Would I got approved? I think so. I mean, I had a lot of good guys that were going to recommend me for the job, and you know, I had a lot of good GMs that were going to recommend me as well, and it kind of saddens me because, you know, I was busting my butt as hard as I was when I first opened up Exemius Sports and Woke Gaming. So, you know, right now, personally, as Brad Dick-wise, I don't know what I'm going to do in esports in the future. I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50 on retiring, and I'm 50-50 on building a brand new organization with a few people. If I do that, the name will not be Exemius Sports anymore. It'll be something new. It'll be something that I can, you know, build off of with the current sponsors that I have. I've contacted Still Series. I've contacted some other companies that I have been working with over the past few years, and they understand what's going on, and they know, hey, you know, they understand why Exemius kind of started going downhill because I kept in contact with email with them. But, you know, if that happens, I mean, I'll let everybody know. But if I do come up with a new organization, it'll have a new website. It won't be called Exemius Sports, probably. It'll be called something new. And hopefully, it'll be by this summer, if that's the case. I try to, you know, keep a low profile, so to speak. I won't be doing anything until the end of wrestling season, near February, probably. But you never know. I could end up, totally leaving esports. I don't know if I'll leave esports completely, but I may do a different job other than a general manager job. I'd probably, I could work with maybe a media, some sort. I've been doing this stuff forever. I may even ask a couple of GMs are watching right now. I may ask, hey, you got a position open for me? I don't know. It's. I have to build my motivation back up, guys. It's a very hard to. I can finally understand what a player is feeling like in the CGS, like Funshine, Paradox. Here's another guy, Paradox, that actually told me something. I have a quote from him, Mr. Optics Paradox. Let me go ahead and tell you guys what Paradox said, if I can find it. He says, "I'm really sad to see the CGS close. I feel like it's a definite step backwards for the gaming community and a crucial blow to high-level CS source competition. This turn of events, although sad, has made me very grateful to have been a part of the league, and makes going out the way Optics did, second place World Finals and first CGS Pro-Am, much sweeter. As for future competition, it looks like for now CS Source chapter of Counter-Strike is closing. It may be and probably will be back to some level again, but I don't expect to see it anywhere near the stage CGS set it on." Yeah. So he even says it, Griff, I didn't get your quote, man. Griff, a former Pandemic player, also 94 Knicks. I didn't get all of your quote. But I don't know what's going to happen near in the future with me. I don't know. It's a big question mark. Is Xemia Sports going to continue? Don't know. I hope so. I've got to get some motivation. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about other things. Is something going to replace CGS? No. Nothing that grand scale. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. CPL this summer. Now, most of you asked me questions on CPL. I'll talk about CPL. I think that CPL is being run pretty much by the same people. Angel Munoz is still involved with the CPL. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a text message. God darn, where's my cell phone at? I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. If I still have it. My goodness, I hope I still have it. I might even still have it. Okay, getting there. I think I deleted it. Mike Valencia, guys, is still running behind it. Alright? And Angel. And I don't know what they're going to plan on doing. Okay? So, we'll see what happens. I don't know with CPL. CPL will have 1.6 in World of Warcraft, in my opinion, for the summer 2009. Now, I think it's going to be great for ESEA to have tournaments on 1.6. It kind of like similar to qualifiers for CGS. I'm excited about that. Craig Levine is going to keep 1.6 and Counter-Strike alive. He loves it. He works his butt off for it, so we'll see what happens with that. But I'm kind of getting down to the end of my line here. But if you have any other questions, I'll go ahead and finish up here, guys. It's very hard for me to say that I might possibly walk away from esports, especially with what I was going to be able to do in the CGS maybe, and it's just tough. It's just tough. And I know if I retire, God, there'd probably be 1 million people happy. Maybe not. Who knows? But we'll see. Go read Mason's private message. What is Mason's private message? Okay, here's what Grant Griff said for the old Pandemic and current 94 Knicks player. The CGS was one of the driving forces behind my will to play CSS. While the league wasn't perfect, it held for me the dream of being TV, getting salary, and playing in front of large crowds, doing what I love to do. A lot of the top gamers in CSS are going back to 1.6, and there is a great chance that I will join them as well. I look forward to the new challenges that lie ahead. Need to make an edit. No. I think it's very, he says, excuse me. He goes, I think I need to make an edit right there. He says, I think that it is very unfortunate the league is no more. He's very sad that the league is no more, and I know that Grant had a passion for it. He's not the only one that didn't have a passion for it. Sasquatch from Devastation had a very big passion for it. Him and Lloyd Schaefer. I'm gonna talk about Lloyd. Lloyd really wanted to be in the CGS, and he got there. Finally, was there, and I was gonna work with him to stay there. He's a great guy, a good friend, and I don't know what he's gonna do yet. I hope he keeps on playing. God bless him. I hope he does, because he is actually good. What do I think of Gronosity making a return? I don't know. Make your return. How do you feel about gamers who work so hard and dropped out of school? Let's go. We've already said that. How do I feel about Angel and Valencia still running CPL? I don't like that idea. I think that Angel and Valencia shouldn't be running CPL at all. I think there needs to be new ideas and new people coming into the CPL, because they're throwing money away. This is what CPL needs to go back to doing. They need to go back to doing one thing a year. No World Tour. Nothing like that. July 4th through the 7th. Make it the CPL, the grand scale that's always been. No winter CPL. Just summer. Boom, summer. Everybody's out of school. Kids are out. They can compete. That's what will make the grand scale. Look at summer 2005. Boom. You take it one per year, and it's like, wow, we can prepare. We can get ready for this summer because we know it's coming. We don't have to have like, okay, put my money here for funds for a land, put my money here for another CPL land, and money here for a CPL land. Stop thinking about the money, Angel. God, Valencia, come on, both of you, just do it. Just make one per year. DJ Wheat, my boy, says, how many major 1.6 tournaments do you actually think will happen next year? By major, I say 15K or more for first. I think you'll see summer in 2009. I think you can see two. I think MLG might have one, and I think CPL will have one. And I think that's my opinion, DJ. But you the man. You know about as much as I do, my man. So we'll see. What do I think will happen to Juan and Nick Noit? I don't know. I think they're both going to play 1.6. I don't know what's gonna happen with CPL. Goals for CPL. I don't know those either. To me, the loss of CPGS is not a bad thing because the way the whole thing was established was wrong. Well, it could have been. Maybe so, maybe not. CGS had its flaws. Every new league is going to have its flaws. It's like government. No government is perfect until you work at it. No league is going to be perfect until you work at it and work out all the kinks in it. CGS had kinks. I think, in my opinion, CGS had too many sponsor red flags. They should have allowed it where more teams were open freely. They should have had different websites where they could be run how they want to be run, as much content as possibly needed. As that site stuff is needed, that hurt them pretty bad, in my opinion. But I'm not. I think if they come back, which I think CGS may be back again one day. I really do, because they see the potential in it. And whenever that happens, I hope I'm going to get to be a part of it once again. And we'll see. Source division for CPL? No. Okay. Alright, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the Brad Dick Show. I appreciate everybody's support of me. And, some of you guys don't like me. That's okay. But I do really appreciate you guys. I'm not kidding. I appreciate you supporting me, those of you who like me. And, those of you who supported me trying to be a general manager in the CGS and that dream of mine. I hope that one day that still could be fulfilled. But at this point, it cannot, because the CGS is no more. So I guess I leave you on kind of a sad note. So we'll see, in the near future. I don't know what's going to happen. Make sure you check Insider Sports. It's Insider Esports. It's ran by a bunch of CGS staff members. So it's pretty cool. So guys, this is Brad Dick kind of signing out, I guess. Saying I will see you sometime soon. And God bless.